This episode is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network.
Hey, welcome to Screen Junkies Universe. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning today, and I am joined by some wonderful, smart, intelligent men like DJ Wooldridge right here. Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Spencer Gilbert there with the quips and the brains. Dan Murrell with all of the facts.
Hello. I'm not. That's not a guarantee.
Is that factually inaccurate?
Maybe.
Welcome. We have a lot of wonderful stories today, and they begin with Netflix has a naughty list. They know when you've been naughty, they know when you've been nice, and they are calling it out on Twitter. They're spilling your tea. So on Netflix's Twitter account, have you guys seen this? Have you guys seen this?
No.
You guys seen this?
Yes.
You guys heard about this?
You guys heard about this one?
You seen
this one? Heard about this? Netflix got a little bit sassy with its viewers and in terms of revealing their viewing habits. There's a lot of activity going on back there, so I'm going to assume that I'm still live and talking to you wonderful people. Here's what they said in a tweet. To the 53 people who've watched A Christmas Prince every day for the past 18 days, who hurt you? This is their Netflix Christmas movie. And then some people got a little upset, like, hey, man, why are you talking about our viewing habits on Twitter?
I mean, you know, if you watch Christmas Prince for 18 days straight, I mean.
You feel like, well, this person came in and was sort of upset about it. And then Netflix said back, whoever's running this account, and we love you, Pac-Man, is kind of winning doing the social media thing. And they just said, I just want to make sure you're okay. And the guy responded, you're not my mom. To which Netflix said, okay, sweetie. I love this. I love this trolling. However, a bit creepy.
I find this super disturbing.
You do?
Super disturbing.
Okay.
Because, well, first of all, I don't like being like shamed by the person I'm patronizing, like who I'm giving my money to and using their service, and then they come back and make fun of me for it. Strike one. Strike two is either there is a system where you're flagged if you watch a movie enough times in a row and you like go into some bucket and like there's a Netflix wide alert like, uh-oh, this person's in trouble. Or so Johnny Netflix is literally looking at viewing data on an individual level and being like, oh, this person's a creep, and then tweeting you out.
Well, they don't tweet at the person. They don't say like, "Hey, Spencer," or I don't know. I'm just
well, they're saying to the person, but they know.
Yeah.
They know who that
they're not
person is.
tweeting Billy about how he feels about Fuller House, which Billy's watching.
Oh man,
I have to know who DJ picked.
He told me I said I was going to demand to know all of your Netflix habits, and he confessed that he watched Fuller House this morning.
This morning.
Wow. Just this morning.
Every day you wake up with a little Fuller House in your cup.
So new episode next Friday, guys.
You got to catch up.
Do
we know if these numbers are true or if this is just a bit?
That's true. This could just be a
It could just be a bit. Like, we don't know that somebody's watched. Anybody's watched.
That's
Christmas
just
Prince.
53 people.
Yeah.
I haven't seen A Christmas Prince.
I haven't either.
But I would imagine, like, if I were part of the team behind A Christmas Prince that sold my rights to Netflix, I'd be contacting Netflix and like, what's your problem, bro? Like, what?
They know what movie
Who
they
hurt
made.
you? Like, what are you saying about our movie? Like,
They know what movie they made.
It wasn't just this one, though. It was also, like, they called out somebody who'd watched Pirates of the Caribbean every day for the past year. Like,
there's a
I am worried about that
weirdly
person.
specific, like, but okay, fine. So they love Jack Sparrow and they want to watch that movie. That's the, if I was going to watch one Pirates movie every day, that'd be the one.
Yeah,
so
the first
if it was
one,
at
that's
World's
true.
End, then I would. There's a problem. But it's a little like it's funny and I get it, but it's also kind of there's a little tinge of like, what are you doing with your time? Like, don't you have 47 original series to shepherd through a production, and you're hiking my subscription fees? What? So you can call me out on Twitter? Like, just go do your Netflix thing and let me enjoy A Christmas Prince. There's nothing wrong with watching it every day. It's a delightful movie. Maybe you just want to get into the holiday spirit and watch a great Christmas movie.
My dog really likes it.
Yes,
That's my dog. Yeah, the cat loves it.
And I'm like, Muffin, how dare you watch that movie again?
It is interesting that they don't like release their watching numbers, but I guess they give it to their social staff because you know it's got to be a different. It's not like the people that have the numbers are going, oh, tweet.
Yeah, they've been notoriously close-lipped about what their actual stats are, and then people have started to figure it out. They were able to, Nielsen was able to trace kind of the numbers for The Punisher and things like that. So they're getting called out. So I don't know. Am I the only one that enjoys shenanigans? I feel like, Liz, the ship has long since sailed on my privacy. This thing is chasing me around going, I'm going to suggest this here and want that there. Facebook knows what I was looking on at Amazon. The ship has sailed. At least have fun with it.
I'm surprised at your stance on this.
sanctioned this before.
Was it not less than 2 weeks ago that you were sitting in that chair worried that your television was going to listen to you and report what you said to the president or something? No, this is literally a company taking someone's data and sharing it publicly, and you're fine with it, but you're worried that the television
But they're doing it in like a fun, snarky way. So like when like BP is like dab on your haters, it's like, oh, they get it.
You're always the one. You're the girl that cried Skynet, and yet now you're okay with this.
Okay.
This is very surprising. This is a very
Roth Cornet
surprising
story.
stance.
Let me
from you on this.
explain the difference. The person behind these tweets, isn't revealing individuals. They're not calling out individuals, and I still do want to know about your Netflix habits. But it's just some young Spencer Gilbert who's probably 19 or 20 years old that's outside of college and is having fun and being funny on the internet.
When has that ever gone wrong?
My television becoming self-aware only leads to the robot apocalypse. Those are two very different things.
So in other words, if the Netflix Twitter account was running autonomously with that information, then you'd have an issue.
If it was a self-aware, by the way, it's a very funny self-aware Skynet at that point. But if it was a self-aware situation where I just know at any minute now it's going to start talking back to me, it's taking data about what I say.
Part of Skynet would understand that like people won't buy. It needs to mollify people until it's prepared to take over. So it would hire like a 19-year-old out of college comedy writer to kind of run the smokescreen for Skynet.
That's when we really need to be worried about the robot apocalypse, is when AI is able to make quips and 80s references. Then we're all doomed.
To get people used to this. Like, haha, we're spying on you in a funny way. Like, don't worry.
Yeah, the only Skynet I'm worried about is
really
the
good
Honest
Dr.
Trailer
Who
Machine.
episode.
Because then Spencer and I and Joe and everyone here are in big trouble.
The Honest Trailer Machine?
Yeah, the one that can just generate honest trailers.
Well, yeah,
about-
comedy writing was a very calculated move for me, just going by what's the last job that the robots will take is humor. I'm banking on that.
Good luck.
Yeah, you've been proven wrong right here today by Netflix, and it's trolling. I understand what you guys are saying, and no one's more afraid of technology than me.
But out of
As you
comedy
scroll,
writers,
as you pet your laptop.
But it's
That's true. She does have the piece of tape over it.
I do.
I do that too.
Absolutely.
I do
Thank
that
you.
too, yeah.
You know what? Thank you.
I
Yeah.
just,
And it's smart, and you should too. Put that tape
If they want to
over
watch, it's
it.
their funeral.
They're just watching you weep as you watch Prince
Christmas
Christmas.
Prince.
Christmas Prince.
Christmas Prince.
Every day for the past 18
Yeah, the poor NSA guy assigned to me is just put a bullet in his head a long time ago.
You can't have that idea. That's mine and Billy's idea.
Okay.
You can't have the NSA. That's our idea.
A developing relationship between the NSA and the person there.
Well,
I'm telling her.
you
I
just
just
pitched
said
it to 40,000 people.
Good. This has been a good time. Hey, speaking of trolls, Deadline reported yesterday that Netflix and DreamWorks Animation are looking to enter in a new deal with 6 original series, including Trolls. The beat goes on. And other series include, this is such a weird list to me. I don't know how you guys feel about this. She-Ra, Boss
that.
Baby, Back in Business.
I'm oddly into that as well.
Harvey Street Kids,
Never heard of
Captain
it.
Underpants.
Okay.
Sequel, Troll Hunters Part 3,
Here it's good.
and 3 Below.
Have you guys seen Lady in the Water or Shape of Water? Excuse
Yes,
me.
I have seen.
Nice.
Yes.
It's a very happy. It made me happy. That movie made me happy.
It's a great movie.
Really good.
Max T and
Just
kids
Guillermo
calling
del
it Lady
Toro's
in the
name
Water.
was in the. She didn't say it, but it's right here, and that made me think of that.
You should see it. It's a beautiful movie that you should see in theaters. By the way, it's
Yeah.
one of those things that's it's don't wait for Blu-ray.
No,
It's beautiful.
go check it out.
It might win. It might take Roger. That may be the movie that takes Roger Deakins' annual runner-up in the Oscar to make the thing come true.
Why?
because
Why
it's a
isn't that
gorgeous
getting an
movie.
animated series? I wonder. Was it the violence in the
about
language? You think?
Yeah, old woman wanting to have sex with a fish man.
Not wanting.
Go see it.
does. Spoilers.
I gotta
see
see
it.
it. Okay. Shocker, would like to see the Boss Baby animated series
That
because
is kind of shocking.
It turns out, having watched Boss Baby for the first time, that it's the most insane movie of the year. and it's not even a competition.
Yeah.
Like Thor Ragnarok was kind of weird. Like I've seen.
Have you seen the Book of Henry?
Book of Henry, no, but I got your amazing plot breakdown. But Boss Baby, the mythos that they build, the sheer amount of work they put into to avoid answering where do babies come from is so insane and detailed and convoluted that I'm excited to see where they take this universe next.
I haven't seen it. People
Did you know that
I haven't seen
babies and
Boss
puppies
Baby,
are in an eternal corporate war because there's a finite amount of love in the world that babies and puppies are competing over?
That's true.
And they drink a special milk to stay babies, but they have adult intelligence. This is only the tip of the iceberg. There might be an honest trailer about it someday.
Someday.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Billy,
Look.
why would you not tell me?
I was like you. I thought, oh, it's going to be like the Alec Baldwin just doing the silly baby voice, and that's part of it. He is doing Jack Donaghy for 90 minutes. But, man, they put a lot of work and thought into where babies don't come from.
I'm watching this tonight, and I suddenly got a lot more excited for Netflix, which leads us to, what are you watching on Netflix, Dan?
What am I watching on Netflix? I'm currently going through season 2 of The Crown.
Yeah.
A show on which events do happen, events of consequence, and they happen often.
I wasn't the one that said nothing happened.
I know.
Yeah, we're taking shots at Roxy off camera.
Roxy,
But
yeah. I am also watching Grand Designs, which is having now burned through all of the new Great British Baking shows. I moved on to Grand Designs, which is a British home construction show about people who build these crazy, complicated, expensive houses, which is quite interesting. And I need to see Mudbound. I haven't seen it yet, and Okja and a few of the other movies.
Are you anybody here watching Mindhunters? Mindhunter, excuse me.
No, I heard
Serial.
mixed things. I heard mixed
You know
things.
what? It's very much a long criminal sociology lecture that I'm very into.
yeah, I'm really excited to watch that.
Yeah.
I'm also watching The Crown. Stay tuned for Dan and I's after show, Crowning Around. Where we'll break down all the foibles and fumbles of the monarchy as it enters a new modern age. Also, a British comedy. What's it called? The Toast of London, about this actor Richard Toast, and it's
hilarious.
insane and hilarious, and it takes a little bit to get what the tone is that they're going on because it's very heightened, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. Stick with it.
I've seen some of that. It's
Matthew
awesome.
Barry.
That's on Netflix?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
on
hell
Netflix. Who did what's that other one that's insane about the hangman? Fact check me on that, but he's hilarious, and you'll love it if you like weird British comedy.
I will say, out of these animated shows coming out, I'm most interested in She-Ra because I believe DreamWorks is also responsible for the Voltron reboot, which is awesome. It's legit amazing. So hopefully, maybe some of that magic can come into this.
Come into She-Ra. I'm excited about that one too, but it's largely because one of my screenwriting teachers in college created He-Man.
Nice.
It's made me unduly interested in He-Man and its mythos.
Do you think we'll get a He-Man spinoff if She-Ra does well? Which is a weird
That's a twist.
horse before the carriage situation.
Yeah.
We can hope. Let's see how she does on her own.
For more information on what Spencer and I are watching on Netflix, ask Netflix. They'll probably tell you.
Yeah, they'll tweet about it.
Probably gonna
Just
about
tweet
it
at
soon.
Netflix.
Check the Netflix Twitter account.
I'm waiting to get tweeted about starting Wheelman 5 times and stopping 5 minutes in just because I'm not in the mood. I'm interested. I'm just not in the mood. You get there, you start it, you're like, never mind.
Yeah.
You know what's in the National Film Registry? That wasn't a good segue. We're going there anyway.
Wheelman? Is it Wheelman?
Is it what?
Is it Wheelman on
It's
Netflix?
not Wheelman, but have you seen Winnebago Man?
I have not.
Yes,
you?
the
Great.
viral
Winnebago
video guy.
Man.
Yes.
Oh, I have seen
Watch
that.
it.
Never
Good
mind.
doc.
If you have not seen that, I highly encourage you to, as soon as this program is finished, go watch that immediately and then tweet to Netflix about it. They already know. Dan, what's going in the film registry?
The National Film Registry, which, if you don't know, is it's the Library of Congress. They select a number of films every year that goes into. It's just kind of like an acknowledgement that these are films that should be preserved as cultural or historical or whatever milestones. And this year, it's a good crop. Die Hard,
Yeah.
just in time for Christmas. Titanic. Superman, the 1978 Superman, The Goonies was selected, Dumbo, Field of Dreams, and it's a mixture of things. It's short films, it's animation. So you have things like Spartacus, which are also going. So 2 Stanley Kubricks, Ace in the Hole is going. Which
Another classic Stanley Kubrick film, Ace in the Hole.
Sorry, that's not. I'm thinking of Paths of Glory with Kirk Douglas, who's also an Ace in the Hole, and I just got my Kirk Douglases mixed up. Sorry about that. But if you haven't seen Ace in the Hole, It's fantastic, and you need to see it. It's a great movie that not a lot of people have seen. But yeah, so it's just a cool list, you know. Famously, and I don't know if they've resolved this, but famously, I remember they went to George Lucas to put Star Wars in and requested that he put the original version of Star Wars in, and he said, "You get the special editions or nothing."
Yeah.
And they said, "Then we'll take nothing."
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know if that's been resolved since then, but I
Yeah.
do remember that when they wanted to put
Why does
Star
he-
Wars in.
why does he hate
would
those
not-
original
I don't
editions so
know.
much?
Man,
So
I don't know, but
weird.
he was very against giving them like the original. I think he said like, "Well, they're not going to don't exist anymore."
Yeah,
Well, that's not true.
No,
But
Is Disney going to fix that for us at some point?
I don't know what
don't know.
when they signed the deal, he may have had a stipulation in there.
Great.
I'm not. I if you guys know, let us know in the comments. I'm actually not sure if he did or if he didn't. However, it's just such a weird thing for people to continually tell you that you're great at a thing and you to deny that that's the thing. That's where your greatness lies.
Well, I understand like wanting to continuously tinker with something, like, oh, I can always do better. I can always punch it up. I can always fix and nip and tuck. But it's a historical record, so they want to enter it into history. And historically, it came out looking one way, and it didn't have the CGI Gungans at the end. So let's take that version.
Yeah.
Couple of
Memento
things.
also.
Memento.
Memento and Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, 2 other movies.
That surprised me that it was not already in the film registry, to be
yeah,
honest.
because that was a very important, culturally important movie at that time.
Yeah.
So it is strange that it took 50 years. I guess because it's the 50th anniversary, they're like, all right, well, let's put Guess Who's Coming to Dinner in.
I
No.
have a fact check.
Yes, Billy.
So Star Wars: A New Hope in the registry in '89. So it is
Okay.
the original.
A New Hope in the
Empire
registry.
was 2010.
Uh huh.
That one
Was that the special edition one? Okay.
Jedi not in the registry.
Okay.
Did you guys hear that? I can hear
Star
you.
Wars was added. Star Wars
If
was
you-
added in 1989. Empire was the
Special
No,
edition.
this was the special edition.
great-
Okay,
the
the Empire
great-
Special Edition is the closest
Yeah.
to the original, so
Yeah.
whatever.
If you could put one movie into the National Registry, what would it be? TJ.
The Room.
Okay.
No,
It
I'm
is
kidding.
historically
I don't know.
important.
It is.
yeah.
Frankly, yeah. I
It
wouldn't
has
say
its
no.
own kind of.
You know what?
cultural
Honestly, I would
importance.
probably, for me, just do either Casablanca's got to be in there, right?
I'm sure
Yeah, that has to be in there. Probably Once Upon a Time in the West. If that's not in there,
Yeah,
I
this
put that one
is
in
a
there.
question I should have asked, knowing whether these things were.
Maybe
Right, we
Rio
have no
Bravo.
idea what's in there already.
If Rio Bravo's not in there, I'm just
Once Upon a
gonna.
Time
Is in there?
Is it?
Yeah. Oh, what? Rio Bravo. I'm just gonna list off westerns until I.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm good.
Big Western
I'm taken
fan?
care of.
You're all done.
I'm taken care of.
Well, you know where Star Wars is going to be in theaters this weekend. It's Star Wars week, and the last yeah,
Who knew?
It is.
yeah.
They've not done enough to market this film.
Did you guys hear about this?
Yeah.
Did you hear about this? Last Jedi.
about this?
Yeah, it's going in theaters this weekend. It's being projected to open worldwide at 424 million. The Force Awakens opened at $529 million. This is a 2.5 hours movie. We've talked about this before.
It is.
So it'll have fewer screenings. Do you think that's going to impact the overall box office, not just this weekend, but throughout its run?
Yes, in the short term. I think there are other things with the movie just regarding tone and just different elements that I don't know if it's also in the long run. I don't think it's going to be the length. I think it may just be that it is totally different than The Force Awakens and might not lend itself to seeing 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times.
No.
Just because it's a different movie, it's a different director, and plus it's it's not the first. It's now 2 years. We had one last year,
Yeah.
and it's even though it wasn't an episode. So, the length obviously is going to be even. I mean, ArcLight's got it on 12 screens, so they're not losing that many show times. But when you get down, fewer and fewer, you're going to lose probably one a day. So that does impact, the business a little bit.
Do you, with this 2 years since the last episode, we just got one last year. We got the Solo coming out next year. When do you think we'll get Star Wars burnout? When people are like,
there.
Star Wars.
Are you there?
I'm not. I'm just. I'm
I'm not talking about
worried
we. I'm talking
Star
about
Wars.
culturally we.
I'm worried about Star Wars burnout, and I do think that if you have one every year, then yeah, naturally, of course, the box office is going to decline a little bit because
Yeah.
you never get to miss it. If you look
Yeah.
at, I was actually doing some research for another piece, and I was looking at if you look at the adjusted for inflation at the grosses of all the Star Wars movies, the highest grossing have been Star Wars and then A Phantom Menace and Force Awakens.
first ones.
And it's just like first one. And it's like, of course, because you have that enthusiasm. So I feel like if you don't have that gap where people miss it a little bit and build it, not that they're going to be bad movies, but you miss that pop that we got with Force Awakens of like, oh my God, I haven't seen this in so long. It's just like, oh, it's another movie. Okay, I'll go see it. Maybe I'll go see it next weekend though. Or I'll wait till it gets on video. It loses some of that specialness.
Yeah.
Do you still have that? How much of a Star Wars person are you? I don't even know.
I really like it. I don't love what it did to movies as a whole, which I think turned everything.
That's very fair.
It turned everything into. It created like the blockbuster franchise model of big spectacle effects driven franchises being what every studio wanted, which is not Star Wars' fault.
Yeah.
But I like it on its own terms. I do think though that it kind of created expectations for studios for like gigantic epic movies to be what we always aspire to.
Also, the hero's journey is not the only template for telling a story.
Well, yeah, I mean,
you can't get mad at a movie for properly using that template.
No.
either.
And I think it's a perfect example of the Joseph Campbell, all that stuff.
But Joseph Campbell's
Here with
not it.
1,000 faces. It's no, but what? But curious.
Yeah.
Because it's weird. I had a colleague that this really bothered him as well, where I never really understood because it's not the only template, but it's not the only template that's used either. It's just used really well here.
Yeah, but it's used a lot. Like every Marvel movie uses it. Almost every big block. It's the same blockbuster thing. It's like, oh, that worked. Let's keep doing that always for everything. And it's like, man, maybe calm down.
It's interesting because I don't actually see it that way because the hero's journey in that template has very specific markers. They're just, I mean, if you look at it, it's somebody took mythology. It's just what's happening right now. And it's like basically there's a mysterious birth. Then there's first guru, second guru. The guru has to die. The teacher has to die in order for you to come into your own. You have to face yourself. You have to face a demon figure. There's just like those aren't the exact markers, so I'm sure I'm going to be hearing about comments below. But certain elements that are in Star Wars and say Harry Potter are very much following that trajectory. But sometimes people apply it to things that really are not.
I think there's an archetypal nature to Star Wars that everybody applies, and so it tends to be kind of thin.
Sure, I mean,
find the storytelling to be
if
kind
you
of
break
thin.
down those particular markers, they're found in like the Ramayana, right?
No.
Like they're found in mythology from all over the world, in cultures that we're not talking at the same time, and they are very specific, and they're actually applied, I think, inaccurately to some movies that really aren't using that.
Well, I don't know
entirely.
accurately or inaccurately. I think that the way I think about them
Not
is
you.
that they are they're a set of expectations that audiences have for storytelling. Like whether you are consciously going in or not, you're expecting a hero to have a flaw and to overcome that flaw by coming into contact with adversity and making a change inside and out and getting a reward at the end. But just because those are the expectations doesn't mean the story has to follow them. It can subvert them, it can play with them, or it can be way too on the nose with them. But I don't think as a writer you can completely ignore them, that like that's what an audience is expecting going into a story.
I think it's the kind of paint by numbers approach that can be used to it. Is using it instead of like a model for how to tell a story. It's like this is exactly what the story is going to be, and I'm going to kind of jam and because I use this example we were talking about. Because I was thinking about doing a Star Wars Joseph Campbell thing, but so many people have done it. But I was saying like, all right, I'm going to tell you a story. It's about a young guy who lived in seclusion and isolation as an unknown. He met an old man who became his mentor. He went up against an unstoppable force, and at the end, he won a victory. That's Rocky.
Yeah.
But that's also Star Wars. And it's like, and those are two completely different films, but it's like, it's using those conventions and how they do it that I think people should be doing instead of like, well, I'm going to use this as the only template. I know Dan Harmon is a big proponent of the Joseph Campbell model, but also like applying that to Rick and Morty and Community and these seemingly disparate things of like, this is just how to structure a story, not necessarily like we have to have a talisman, we have to have, it's like... Yeah,
I think one of the biggest...
Abed had many talismans.
I think the biggest offender to this type of thing is actually the Star Wars movies themselves, because they hit like, I mean, if you just look at the trailers of The Last Jedi, it's like... the person learning to be a Jedi is off in a secluded world with their mentor who's secluded themselves, and it's like, and AT-ATs are a big part of it. And it's just like it's like, do something different, figure it out, man. Like,
Have you seen it?
not yet. I'm not one of the cool kids. I'm having to wait till it releases.
I love that we live in a world now
We
where the
can't
people
talk
that
about
see
it.
Star Wars early are the cool kids.
Kids, exactly. Hey,
That was the opposite of what it was when I was growing up.
I can guarantee that Last Jedi will make all of the money, and people on Twitter will not stop bothering me for not thinking it's the best movie ever made by people. I can guarantee those
But
two
why
things
do
will
you
happen.
already know that you think it's not the
I'm
best
sure
movie
it'll be
ever
fine.
made? Maybe
I'm sure it'll be fine. It might
How
be
do
the
you know
best
what
movie
you
ever
think about
made.
it?
Listen, I'm sure it'll be fine. But like, other really fantastic movies came out this year. Lost City of Z was great. Z.
Yeah.
Good Time was really fantastic.
Good Time is a great movie.
Yeah. Shape
I
of
know
Water.
you might not,
Listen, I'm sure I'll come out and be like,
we
hey,
probably
it's
get
fine.
more-
They can't argue against you because they've seen it and they don't want to spoil it.
And it's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah,
They're fighting with an arm.
But I know I sent out a tweet yesterday. It's like, here's my ranking of the originals of the Star Wars movies to date. You should go see them immediately. And I jokingly named all of them like Star Wars Episode 4, Lady Bird, Star Wars
Yeah.
Episode 3, The Shape of Water. And like some people got it, but most people was like, is that really your Star Wars ranking? You really rank Episode 4 over Rogue One? It's just like you have. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, is this really your ranking? So you're saying that Lady Bird is a better movie? And just like you have all completely missed the entire point that
Yeah.
I was making. But people do get kind of into a frenzy about these things.
People are very passionate about their lane, and I appreciate that.
Sure, but I mean, I'm with you. It's not necessarily the greatest movie ever made or the greatest movie this year. We probably gave it a more mediocre review than not mediocre. Just don't.
I was between.
but-
I didn't think it sucked, and I did not pee my pants.
So
I'm
How
we're
is it to
between those two opposites.
Because I was kind of ambivalent to Force Awakens.
so
Is
it's
this-
a
I think
very
you might
different
like this.
movie.
I don't know. It's
There you go.
different. It's a
Yeah.
different movie. Yeah.
But what's interesting to me in this conversation is because I agree with you. There's some brilliant movies out this year, and probably if I did my top 10 list, I don't know where things would land. But it's so strange because it's almost two sides of a coin to go into that movie because of the weight of the expectations. You're right. There are some fans that go in going like, I am going to have a blissfully euphoric experience with this. It's going to be the best movie of the year. They come out saying that.
Yeah.
That's on brand, for lack of a better word, for them, right? That's their audience, and they're delivering the message that their whatever personal audience wants to hear. But on the other side, it's like you just go in with an open mind. What if this is your favorite movie of the year? You don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't know.
And if it's a
I
Star
just
Wars
like that you're
fan's,
opening up an interesting
Yeah,
conversation.
I don't know.
if it's a Star Wars fan's favorite movie of the year, there's nothing wrong with
Nothing
that.
wrong with
You
that
just
at
have,
all.
You have to understand that you need to be accepting of people that it's not their favorite movie.
Yeah.
Sure. And I think that when you talk about things like broadly in terms of what movies need to be seen in theaters versus not, it's not just Star Wars movies that ought to be seen in theaters
Yeah.
this year for sure.
Also, it should be pointed out that the movies I just listed off, like a lot of people, we're lucky to live in a place where I can just go see a screening of Velocity of Zed or whatever. And it's
Yeah.
like, if you live in Kentucky, good luck. You know what I mean? Like, I guess you'll catch it on Amazon Prime, which you can, by the way.
What's your favorite movie this year so far? Do you have a few?
It's probably up there. Like, Get Out is up there.
great,
I
me
personally
too.
really enjoyed Wonder Woman. Good Time. I really like.
Good Time's
I like.
really
I like
good.
crime movies, and that just that hit a nice like groove for me. Yeah.
Great
What
movie.
about you guys? What about? Do you guys do? You guys should do like a favorite movie.
Yeah.
We'll probably
Yeah.
seen a lot of them.
We're
Yeah.
caught up
Post
yet.
I haven't seen
Yeah.
yet, and Phantom Thread. There's a few of the
Yeah.
outliers that I
Right,
haven't had a chance to screen.
and this year has been 100 years long, so I have to actually
right.
like what came out in February. Like I don't remember. Logan, I guess that was awesome.
Split.
Ingrid Goes West. Split.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've forgotten half the movies I've seen
Yeah.
because
Twilight.
time has dilated to the point where
Yeah.
every second lasts a
We're
minute.
Matthew McConaughey on the Wave Planet. What?
Yeah, let me get back to you on that.
Okay.
Especially on this show. Yeah, is where time really
Time flies when you have
extends.
fun, Ralph.
DJ, you're the best.
Thank you. Thank you. For
Thank
having
you
me.
for opening the door to an interesting discussion. I like that about talking about movies. What's your favorite thing about talking about movies before we let you go?
That I like movies a lot.
Very well. I like the clarity, the simplicity. Dan Murrell, what about you?
I love talking about movies, and I love talking about movies on the internet, and I'm not going to go on a whole long thing, but today and tomorrow are critical for net neutrality. And if you want to learn more, there's a link on my Twitter, Battle for the Net. It is. I think this is a critically important issue to anyone who enjoys the internet. Which, if you're watching us, you do.
Yeah.
I think you have to protect the fairness and openness of this amazing tool that we've been given. So just. If you want to know more, I'd be happy to send you some links or whatever. But today and tomorrow, the FCC is going to be. They're closing their comments. They're voting this week. You have to make your voice heard if you have a strong feeling about this, and I think that you should if you support what we do here on the internet. So just learn and do your research and make your voice heard, because we're in the crunch time right now.
Agreed.
Spencer?
Well, I mean, what Dan said.
Yeah.
And also Raisinets, the most delicious snack you can get at the concession stand. Keep your theater in business, kids.
Oh, no. Raisinets.
I love raisins.
Yeah, Raisinets are great.
You?
Yes,
are
that's
pretty
my
great.
movie candy.
That's your movie.
California Raisinets, baby.
Hell yeah.
I'm on board with that.
You're all team.
It's not my favorite, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
It's a good popcorn combo.
Yeah.
It's healthy.
It's great.
Mother of pearl.
That last part might be a little suspect, but
Yeah.
otherwise on board.
Okay. Raisinets. DJ, where can the people find you?
You can find me at DJ Talk Trash, every place that matters. Please go to onlystupidanswers.com to check out my podcast with Sam Basher, and go to chaostheorycomic.com to find out where my comic book Chaos Theory is in stores or ordered online.
Thank you,
Sweet.
thank you, thank you. We have missed you. It's so nice to see you.
It's great to be back. I missed you guys too.
And we will see you tomorrow. But before that, you should know a very important fact, and that is at 4 p.m. tomorrow, Pacific Standard Time, right here on the other channel, Screen Junkies Main, you are in for a movie fights of your life. It is Spencer J. Gilbert versus Dan WWWW Murrell. I don't know your name.
So many W's.
Merle, and it's going to be a fight to the death. We have an amazing host. And we have an amazing host. It is being produced by Mr. Billy Business. Everyone's been working really, really, really hard on it.
Yeah.
It's going to be an awesome show. I encourage you to watch it. And our review of The Last Jedi, which is spoiler-free, is on the main channel as well right now.
Unlike that one by the critic on Variety, who's a real D-bag for spoiling something in the movie.
Spoilers are the worst.
I'm laying low.
Laying low.
Yeah.
Stay away from some of the trades are a
Just
little
don't listen to-
suspect.
I don't
when it
read
comes to
reviews.
Don't read a review.
Yeah.
If it's a movie,
you're gonna see the
Read
movie.
comments.
Yeah.
Don't
Okay.
read Twitter.
But watch our review.
But watch our review.
You
Go
watch
watch
our
review.
You only watch one review.
Because they don't spoil anything.
They don't
Exactly.
spoil
Don't spoil
anything.
anything. We're being accused of being too vague.
We were being accused of being
think-
too long too.
And we're also being-
we're
we're also
both
being
too vague and too
too long.
detailed
And
too old and too white.
Yeah.
Too dumb.
I don't know. We're
too
always
blonde.
too anything.
Yeah.
Whatever. We liked it, so maybe you'll like it too.
There you go.
We liked talking about the
We liked
movie
enjoy. We
together.
enjoyed talking about movies.
It was a
blonde.
good chat. Too pink.
Too plaid.
blue.
Fight Club, you're too blonde.
God.
Dang it.
We're going to try and go on. Thank you for joining us today. You seriously are appreciated because it's why we are continue to live.
Mahalo.
This episode was brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch to America's best unlimited network.